An unfiltered, uncensored, raw storytelling podcast.
I'm tired and angry, but somebody should be.
Welcome to another episode of my Ugly Truth podcast.
Save me your prayers.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my Ugly Truth podcast, and today we have a guest speaker. Her name is Queen of Light 1111. She is a twin flame tarot reader, and we are going to talk about the twin flame journey. If you guys have any questions, look her up on either Instagram, YouTube, or her website, queenoflight1111.com, or her Instagram and YouTube name as Queen of Light 1111.
Hey, Angie, thanks so much for having me on your podcast. I'm super honored. I was really thrilled to get your email. So thank you for reaching out.
No, I appreciate it. I know I kind of went on your website and I was like, there's no email. I'm just going to write this little message on the submit button and hopefully it gets to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is the email. So for anyone that wants to reach out, it is through that box that it will come through my email. Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's do it.
For those of you who don't know me, and Angie, I don't know how much you do know. So I go by the name Queen of Light 1111, which is actually a literal translation of my real name. So it's very interesting. So when my mom was having her kids, it's just my brother and I, she already had two names chosen. And she's like, listen, if you were a boy, the boy was going to be named this anyway. And so lucky for her, I was a girl and she got to use both of the names. And so the way that she named me specifically, literal translation, it is Queen of Light. And so when I started to transition into more of my mission work, I've been, and we'll talk about this at some point on this podcast, I was a chief operating officer for a global firm. And so my real name, right, is really well known, a lot of public recognition for that role that I was in. And so I thought, you know what, I don't want to be known as that person anymore. When I transitioned out of my 3D corporate world, that job, that was the success I attained through that job. And I wanted my spiritual work to be very, very aligned with that name. And so I took my name and I translated it, and it's Queen of Light. And so I was like, wow, my mom did good, right?
That's awesome. No, it's actually a good point you said that, because my name is Angelina and I've always been called Angie my whole life. And I was like, here I am talking about being like authentic and transparent. Maybe I should go by Angelina. But when people call me that, I just feel like I'm in trouble. So like I just went back to the whole Angie thing.
Well, Angelina, I mean, that's like an angel, right? And you're
apparently we're the message of the angel.
See? And this is what you're doing. You're sharing your message as an angel. I love it.
And you know what's really crazy, actually, Tom, speaking of like signs like that, like the synchronizing numbers, I was born at 2:22 p.m. and at my birthday is 6/6/86. Isn't that crazy? I know.
Well, six is harmony. 6 is harmony. 8's of cycles, right? And
and 808 is the number I always see all the time, which 8's an infinity symbol. I'm just like, oh my God, that's so insane.
I love it. I love it. Signs and synchronicities, I'll tell you, definitely part of the journey. And as we kind of get into it, I definitely want to touch on these signs and synchronicities, because I feel like, sometimes we attach a lot to them and we attach it to our twin, when frankly, I think that it has a lot, and these are all my humble opinions, is it has a lot to do with our spirit guides and our angels.
It's about us, like you always say, it's a self journey. Yeah.
Right. So Queen of Light 1111, kind of that manifested back in July of 2018. So July 1st, 2018, I literally was sitting on the couch at my parents' house and I was visiting them. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to start my channel.
That's when you started a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I started July 1st, 2018. I started my Instagram and my YouTube channel. And so I think I did my first YouTube reading a few days later. But it has been the most amazing experience. I've read tarot since I was probably about 17, 18 years old. I've always been super spiritual, very connected. Eastern philosophy and religions are ones that I personally aligned with, but I'm not into a religious practice or a religion. I'm a spiritual person. So what aligns with me from everything, and then that is how I connect to my personal spiritual religion, right? If you want.
And then since you started in July, like you've grown so much. I've been following you for a good amount of time, but I was like, holy God, she's grown.
It's grown, significantly. And a lot of people are about subscribers and likes and views.
Right.
My mission and my goal is, my message, and especially the way I deliver it, because I'm a no BS person, right? Like this is a journey where people are looking for clarity. And that's how I was in my corporate world, like that. You're a leader, right? You're someone is coming to you for answers. Someone's coming to you for direction. And so
I need you to say it how it is. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's also why, if you watch my videos, I clarify the heck out of my readings, right? So I'll have a message and I want to like, what is this exactly about, right? So that's how I balance the intuitive nature with kind of the 3D aspect of it to get to know it.
Yeah, the reading, you're like, okay, who is this female Queen of Pentacles? I'm like, yeah, who is that? Get it, girl, find out.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I wanted to do as I set up my channel and my mission work as I started was that I wanted to channel one collective, right? And no disrespect to anyone, because I have so much respect for a lot of people, a lot of readers, and the people of what they're doing out there.
Right.
But when I first learned about the journey, I was watching these YouTube videos. I was trying to figure out what the hell, and you'd get one message one day and another message another, and that kind of led to some confusion because it's a general reading. And so what I've done with my channel is I channel one collective, and this collective that I channel is just one. It's not.
But like you said, also, like, I like it that you say it directly, because I've seen, again, no disrespect to any readers out there, but I've seen readers where it's just so positive and so great, and oh my God, they're in love with you, they're coming around. You're like, no, I need the truth. I know what I feel.
Right? So those could be 5D energies, and so 5D is like your higher self. And so some people really like to tap into what this best potential could be. I'm a 3D reader. I live on this earth. Is doing now.
Right? What sign are you? What zodiac sign are you?
I'm a Virgo.
Okay. I'm a Gemini sun and moon.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm a Virgo sun. I have all of the influences. So when people ask me, I don't typically answer because I'm in my sun energy in Virgo, but then I'm Aries moon. I'm a Libra rising.
I'm a Libra rising too.
Are you? And then I'm a Venus and Scorpio. So when people are like on my lives, hey, Queen of Light, what's your sign? I'm like, no, I'm the Empress. I'm all the signs.
That's amazing. No, that's so true. They say that when people have different elements on their sun, moon, rising, they're more balanced, and I have all air.
Oh, do you really?
I have Gemini sun, moon, and Libra rising. I'm like, well, I'm all thought. I am on the head.
You're all up in your head, right?
Yeah, that's why I got to start this podcast. I had to speak it all out. I'm thinking too much. But what we're going to talk about on this episode, we're going to talk about the twin flame journey and 5D, the 3D, and if you want to just explain that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So with the journey, and I think a lot of people when they first get on the journey, it's about union. It's about I'm feeling this major connection with someone and they left or it didn't work out and it happened so quickly and you're blindsided. And so what they're doing is they're Googling or they've gone to a reader or somehow they've learned about this label, the twin flame journey. Mm-hmm. And so initially it's about, oh my God, well, what am I feeling? And how do I get back together with them? Right. So that's really what the journey is in the beginning for someone who really truly doesn't understand it at that time. So I get it. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. Right. We're told, we're in pain. We've got devastation, we're in separation. We don't get it. And so the journey, when you start to come out of this energy, and I do want to touch a little bit about the feminine's journey, the masculine's, and then what oneness is that the journey is really of self. It really is. And if someone can understand that now versus being in this pain for 5, 10, 20 years, then I hope they listen to this podcast, because if you understand that sooner, that it's not about union with a divine partner, it's so much bigger than that, which is the union of self, then they can get on the journey to better understanding and then oneness within themselves, because it's about that inner masculine and feminine energy.
I'm not going to lie, about 3 months ago, I probably started really realizing, oh shit, this is what this is. And starting, learning more about it. I've always heard the term, but I'm glad that I learned it when I did, because it was after the breakup. It was way later, it was more when I was already working on myself. So I'm like, wow, this makes sense, because that's exactly what I was doing without knowing about it.
Right. So that's good. I mean, here's the thing. Better late than never. And what's late, who knows? Time is fluid. It's just that at some point someone needs to get it. And my mission is, I want to help you get it sooner rather than save you from the pain, right? But I'm no one's savior. People will always get the message when they're ready to get the message.
Right. Same thing with this podcast. Like, I'm not here to save anyone going through a hard time, but if I could tell you what not to do or what to do, because I've been there, maybe it'll be better for you, so you won't be in pain that much. Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Exactly. So let's talk about the journey then. Okay. So let's talk about from the feminine standpoint. Okay. Because I feel like we have a lot of feminines here. So I want to start with them, at least from your demographics. And then I also want to talk about the masculine's journey individually, because I think that's going to help those who are in masculine energy or dealing with their masculine to better understand. And so there's a few phases. Okay, so let's start with the divine feminine. So when the divine feminine starts her journey, she's really not completely awake. Okay, so you can be a spiritual person, you could be in your 3D job, but you're not quite on into your ascension yet. Okay, so the phase one of our feminine is she's unawake, right? So what happens is she meets this person, she meets this twin. Okay, and I'm using words like she and he because an energy. So if it's the same sex connection, you just connect to the energy. So I hope that makes sense. So, but I'm going to use he and she. So in the feminine energy, you meet this person, you meet the twin, right? And you have this instant recognition, this connection like you've never felt. And it's extreme, it's loving, your masculine feels like home and it's safe. Okay. And so this is the experience that they're going through. And all of a sudden she's like, whoa, like, what is this? I want to be with him. I want to take it to the next level. You're intimate and it's reciprocated. It's not like you're having this connection and the masculine's not engaging with you in this stage.
No, it's
just
mutual.
As in it. He's like, I want to marry you. I want to have kids with you. You are my future, blah, blah, blah. So all of this happens, right? And so the feminine's like, like this is intense. And so
like more powerful than any relationship you've ever been in. And it's coming from someone been divorced before. I'm like, whoa, how can I love someone more than my ex-husband? Yeah.
Exactly. So parallel to that, what's happening with the masculine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave kind of both in the journey. Okay. So then what happens with the masculine at the same stage of the unawakened feminine, what's happening with the unawakened masculine is he has a strong physical attraction, these intense feelings as well. And she also feels like home and she feels familiar. And, you'll hear words from your masculine like, this is so comfortable. You feel like home and he's wanting to be with you. And so you're on the same page. Okay.
Right.
So then what happens? Feminine's in this energy and then she feels the masculine, whether very quickly or over a period of time, start to detach. The energy starts to pull back. And so what happens is the feminine then starts to get a little clingy. She's like, well, hey, why are you calling me? You didn't text me back.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. And so then what happens is, he starts to detach. She starts to come in a little stronger and then a little more aggressive and a little more aggressive. And then she gets blocked or whatever happens. Right. And then they go in through this kind of energy where she's starting to trigger him through her aggressiveness or through her wanting to connect or understand what he's doing. He's shutting down because she's starting to remind him triggers are starting to percolate up. And it's reminding him of past experiences, either with other karmics, or it's reminding him of things that aren't healed. Maybe he has a different parent dynamic, right? Maybe his mom's aggressive, dad's passive, maybe there's a wound there. And as she starts to become more clingy to salvage the relationship, he gets repelled, okay? And then all of a sudden, so boom, we're separated. Okay, so now the feminine, I'm going to Google, I'm going to YouTube. What is this? Can't get over somebody, intense feeling, blah, blah, blah. And twin flame starts to come up. Okay, or she goes to a reader to find out what's happening and the label gets thrown out. Right. So can you relate to that?
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%.
Okay. Because it's interesting because in
It's so scary. I'm like, oh, childhood wounds and then totally somebody came in and boom, you're separated.
Right, exactly. And so then there's that runner chaser dynamic that you hear about, right? And so now what happens as we go into the feminine going into kind of her dark night of the soul, okay? And the masculine's like, no, I don't want to deal with her. I got a karmic, I got a third party, I'm blocking you, I'm not talking to you, don't talk to me, okay? And she's like trying to understand what's happening. And so, through this discord, through this rejection, she starts going into this dark night energy because she's like, how can you say all of these things? How can I feel everything and you reciprocate that? And now we're here, okay?
Yeah, I call that phase my red hair phase, but go ahead.
Yeah. So this is where the darkness comes in. And the darkness is that sadness and that devastation. And this is where she starts to come into the light, okay? Because through the darkness and through this hermit energy, we call the hermit energy when you read tarot, is when you're on your journey alone. You isolate, you're going in through a self-discovery. You literally have one lantern that's kind of showing you little bits and pieces of the light, right? Mm-hmm. And so she starts to understand what this connection is, that it is a little bit, it's more than a 3D connection, 3D being a connection where it's based on physical pleasure, it's based on immediate gratification, it's based on things that, serve each other. It's not a soulmate connection. Soulmate connections are easy. Soulmate connections, you meet, you date, you get married, it's easy. Soulmate connections are easy. Think about soulmate friends. You meet, it's like you guys have known each other forever and you stay friends.
It's peaceful.
It's peaceful. But in this twin flame connection, it is to get you to go through this darkness to rise as the best version of you. Remember, it's a journey of self. So this is where the awakening happens. So here's what happens then, Angie. She starts to understand this, okay? She starts to understand that this is her healing things. Like, hey, maybe I was clingy with others in the past. Maybe this is a wound from a sibling or my father or my mom was this way, whatever, my friend, whatever. This is a path starts to show up and she starts to begin to heal and understand that. So what happens now, she's focused on her healing. She'll go to healers. She'll go to a coach. She'll go to therapy. She'll work on herself. She'll try to ground.
And not just only heal stuff about this relationship, but like you said, family situations, things that you're noticing that you need to work on yourself because it's all being brought out. Yeah.
Exactly. So as she's now, listen to this, as she now redirects her energy to heal herself, here's what happens to the masculine. Because before that, she's like, why isn't it working? He's not calling, blah, blah. Her energy is completely focused on him. Now that she has an understanding as she's awakening, the energy gets redirected. So here's what happens. Get a text message in the middle of the night. You get an email. Hey, hi, because he feels the energy detach. Okay?
Right.
So here's what happens. And she's like, oh my God, right? Oh my God, he reached out. So she engages. So he comes in. Maybe he goes out with her. Maybe he's engaging with her in other ways, whatever. But what happens is he felt the light leave him. So he came back to feed. Okay? He came back to get her energy again. And I call that the Knight of Wands energy. It's that Casanova energy because he feels that connection leaving him, leaving his energy. So he comes in, and this can happen over years, over months, over a long period of time because she keeps allowing him to come back to take her light because when he leaves, she's depleted again. And now she has to start all over. Yeah. Okay, each time she's got to start all over until she sets the boundary and says, You got to find your own light. You got to find your own light.
Right.
And now she's stronger. And now she's that empress energy. Okay. She's that high priestess empress energy where she understands the journey. She's complete within herself. She's grounded. She's stable. And now he tries to come back and she's like, nope. So now what happens to the masculine? He can't get to her anymore. So now he has to find his own light. Now he has to do the work. And so now his emperor energy.
Question real quick. Within that phase, you're speaking, other either soulmates or karmic relationship can be started off for the feminine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But here's the thing. Remember, these are all my humble opinions. Okay. So I'm not saying, hey, I'm an expert in this. But listen, I'm on the journey too. And I only teach what I know and what my clients go through and what we've all experienced. And so I have statistics and patterns and I've been on the journey, so I get it. And so can the feminine be with other soulmates or partners at this time? So here's the thing. When you're going through the dark night, unlikely, because she's like, I can't reciprocate this with anybody else.
You can't manifest anything good. Yeah.
Right. And so she's in hermit. So unlikely at that point in time that she's looking for another partner. Okay. Unless, so what she might do is go out and numb out the feelings, right? To go out, maybe try to date until she's like, hey, I got to work on myself. Okay. Because that's what the masculine does. I want to numb out my feminine because she brings out too much stuff in me I don't want to deal with. Right. So now when the awakened gets into her empress power, where she's grounded and in her fire, in her pentacles energy, where she's taking care of herself, if she's in her swords energy, she's logical, she's thoughtful, she knows where to put her passion, and she's connected. So where she's aligned, she may want to go out and experience other partners. Okay. But it depends. Not everybody does that. Some people say, you know what, I want to keep working on myself. And some people say, you know, I don't know that this is something that I want to have love in my life, and I'm ready to be open to love in other forms. And in that way they can. And I will tell you, in those cases I've seen soulmates step up to help her continue to stay in her heart space. Yeah. Because it's a journey of love, of self-love, and a union of self. And so the universe will send you that soulmate. But whether or not that connection will work out or not, whatever, is all TBD based on whatever it is your journey is about. Once the feminine is in her power and in that energy, the masculine then has to do his work. And then he does. She's very much in the energy of like, hey, I got to love myself. I've got to be in union with myself. And so then he's got to now find his own light. And he goes through it. He goes through his dark night. He starts to know.
When she goes into her empowerment, that's when he starts being awakened.
Yeah, but the key to that is because she sets a healthy boundary of loving herself. Right. That's why. And you can't, here's the other thing I tell my clients when I coach them. You can't do the work to fake out the universe for union. Like, oh, I'm going to do the work so he comes back. No, the universe doesn't know that. You can't do that. So when she's in her power, and I'm not using power in an ego way, I'm just talking about the power of I am self-fulfilled. Okay?
Where you're okay with being alone and you're okay with focusing on you. Yeah.
Right. But the alone word is she's not. She knows she is complete in herself, and that anybody that comes in is just going to add to it because she's never alone. So set that boundary to get him to do the work. So when he starts awakening, she sets the boundary. He's going to go start working out like crazy, starting to get ripped, trying to attract attention from other people, maybe drinking. He's numbing. And at some point, that just doesn't work anymore. And the tower comes. Okay? The tower comes in the form of job loss. Tower comes in the form of karmics, or maybe they're like sick of the same old pattern with the karmic. A tower comes in the form of, shit, my feminine's really not coming back, you know?
Right.
Or a tower comes in that he finally starts to understand that he's got to heal himself if he wants to be happy, because he's no longer fulfilled. Nothing satisfies.
Nothing, yeah.
Money, drinking, women, nothing will be fulfilling because he cannot look for light outside of himself, so he has to work on himself. So he does. And the way that you see this in the masculine, so that when the feminine feels her masculine coming back, You can't take his words, right? So you have to make sure
Right.
that you're seeing the change in his actions. And trust me, she's a high priestess, she's an empress. She's going to sniff it out. So when he becomes self-aware, what does his healing look like? Well, what's he going to do when he gets bored with his old life? And by the way, once the feminine is awake and once the masculine is awake, you can't go back to sleep. You cannot be unawakened again. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go back to sleep and I'm going to go back to my 3D life.
I'm just
No,
gonna wait it out. Yeah.
no,
It's
you
it's funny
cannot.
you said about the like, how she gets in her empress state, where it's funny because I just like not too long ago went on a date and I was telling my girlfriends, I was like, I'm not trying to sound like a bitch, but this guy's vibration is too low for me. I need
See?
more.
Right, and you're gonna know it. You're gonna know it in friends, in family,
Oh,
in
yeah.
anyone you date. If it doesn't feel right, you're not going to engage at that point. You're not. You're not. You're
Yeah.
not. See, that's when real true union of self happens, is when you're doing the work. The lesson will repeat, okay? The lesson will repeat until it's learned over and over and over again.
Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? Did you get it
Right,
yet?
get it? And then when they test you, did you get it? Are you gonna react the same way? Are you gonna do it? It's just gonna keep happening until you learn the lesson.
I saw that you liked the post I posted today. It was like, the chapter that I'm in my life right now says, now that you know what you know, what are you gonna do? I'm like, ooh.
Exactly. See? Right. Because a lot of people like to be in this ignorance is bliss mode. Like, oh, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I've always believed in that. So a healed masculine, what does that look like? He less selfish, not greedy, not looking for anything. You'll see that he becomes more charitable through his heart space. So whether he's, working with kids or starts to, do work that doesn't serve him or his ego. When he has to pour global thoughts about how he wants to create his life, what he wants to do with his life, right? You'll see them do this, and the universe will make sure you see it. And it'll come up. He's donating or whatever. The universe is going to show you that he's shifting his energy outside of himself and not feeding himself with any kind of pleasure that he would have in the past. And you'll see he becomes more confident, not because of his looks, not because of his job, not because of his money, just because of the human he's become. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because the feminine already has gone through that. So she would acknowledge that.
Exactly. So that's kind of the journey in a nutshell. Okay, like in a super, super nutshell.
Right. No, it is, because I know like the way like they meet is very like weird and not normal and like stuff like that. So that, and then I know with like the separation too, it just brings out a lot of trigger. When you were saying that about triggering, yeah, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll tell you, with the union piece of it, at this point, the feminine's in union with self, right? And she's moved on into her mission work or succeeding in her job, whatever it is. But again, if she's in a 3D job, she's going to operate more from her heart space, not from her masculine energy of driving and succeeding and achievement. It's going to be from, I want to do global good in the work that I'm doing. So she's even going to shift her energy on how she executes a 3D job, okay? Mm-hmm. And so she's going to be so in her energy and her balance that when her masculine comes for sacred union, she might not even see it coming. She won't. And I feel like the collective that I'm channeling now is kind of in this energy. The masculine slipped a little bit, but that's because the feminine slipped too. They both did. And you got to let go of old energy. That's that, hey, evolve or repeat. Are we going to continue to stay in our old pain and our old wound, or are we going to move forward? There's an energy right now with the collective that we're healing this final pain of this self-sabotage, like the masculine self-sabotaging this connection from like that old first time meeting wound is coming out, like you sabotage this connection. I loved you with all my heart. I can't forget what you did. I forgive you, but I'm a human. I can't forget it, right? And so the feminine's in the energy where she's got to release that, knowing that if she's changed, he's changed. See, that's the key, to know that in this journey, you're not the same person anymore. And if you're not, he's not.
Right. And how's the longest that you witnessed twin flames being in separation?
Well, decades. Why? Because they're not doing the work. Why? Because they're not doing the work to be in union of self. Why? Because they're holding on to union of the masculine, focused on the masculine. Is the masculine doing their work? What is the masculine doing? All this stuff. They're so focused on the masculine, they're not doing the work.
Or repeating the same cycle and not putting their boundaries up.
Right. Or letting them in. They can stay in that Knight of Wands energy for years. I'm telling you, I try to help people with this. I really do. And that's why my approach is very clear cut. Like if you come to me for coaching, I'm going to love you and have compassion, but I am going to shake you out of that energy because I don't help you by saying, oh, it's okay.
Right.
I understand it all very well. But my job is to help you get on your road of healing. I think some people will say that twin flames are always in union. Well, because that's union of self, right? But I also do the Akashic records. And so when I read for some clients, it really depends on what they chose. Some people chose to come in for union. Some people, there's all kinds of dynamics of twins, Angie. Some people are married and they meet their twin flame. And they meet their twin flame for their ascension. And so it's not necessarily for union, it was for their awakening, okay?
Right.
So that connection, they're not necessarily here for union with each other. They're here for that person to have helped them get into the best version of themselves because they have mission work to do. Some twins are here and they're single and they're ready and they're coming in for union and it's for mission work together. There's so many different what the end result is. But you're always in union. So that's the thing. It's not like union with your masculine, but the union, you will always be in union because that's the goal. It's union of self. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, I've also heard some people say, I didn't even know that this person was my twin flame until I was already in a new relationship. And I already got over the fact that we were never going to get back together. Once I realized what this was and how he was healing, then it brought us back together. But I wasn't even expecting that.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say about twins, and whether people like this or not, but I'm authentic and I'm real. And I will tell you this label, you got to call it something, right? So people can resonate. I get it.
Yeah.
But it has caught like wildfire. Okay. And
I realize that. Yeah.
So I will tell you that there are connections out there that, you felt something and he ghosted you. It's because he ghosted you. And this
wasn't that. Yeah.
And it wasn't that. But people will hold on to that because they're holding on to this label. I will tell you that it's a twin flame connection. So what's a twin flame connection? Those things that I talked about, that intensity, that feeling that you get, that bubble phase that you're in, everything is reciprocated. But I will tell you the main indicator for me that I know it's a twin flame connection is you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You don't even recognize, you are so changed that and on your spiritual path that you don't recognize yourself anymore. If somebody told me that, Queen of Light, you're going to be on a YouTube channel, I'd be like, are you freaking crazy?
You know what's so funny you said that? I actually have a voice memo that I was telling my girlfriend. Oh my God, you took those words out of my mouth. I was telling my girlfriend, I said, if you told me in high school that I would not pursue a guy because his vibration's low, I would laugh at you and be like, what are you talking about? What is a vibration? Or if I said, I'm trying to be a better person from 6 months ago, I was like, I would love to punch people in the freaking throat, but I'm trying to be a better person. I was like, because I'm not the same person as I was 6 months ago. You literally took those words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you, I was super in my masculine. You have to be in that kind of job. You can't be like a wildflower, you know what I mean? Like a wallflower.
Yeah, you gotta be stern.
Like not speaking up. And when I met my masculine, he was just like, you're like, I was a lot,
Did they say that there's actually some similarities with the zodiacs of the twins or no?
I mean, yeah, listen, I think there's a lot of similarities in twin flames. So actually, I also think there can be polar opposites. So you could be the polar opposite of each other, right? So there's no guidebook to this other than because this is a spiritual journey. So other than what you're feeling on the inside that is that connection. But if we're talking about signs outside of yourself, you would have, you could have the same zodiac sign. You could have the same kind of role in families, right? Or you could be, have similar professions, similar personalities, similar tastes. But I've also seen where they're polar opposites. Like, for example, like I was so in my masculine, but my masculine has a super masculine job, but he was more in his heart space and I was not. You can have those opposites too. This journey is not for the meek. This journey is not for the lazy. This journey is people who are dedicated to doing the work to be the best version of themselves. Because here's the thing, this journey is about raising the vibration of the planet. If people think it's about union with a person, then you've just simplified this journey to something so small. When it's
right.
Like think about what you're doing, Angie. You're touching people globally with your podcast. I'm touching people globally with my channel. And when people listen to you or watch my channel, we raise their vibration. We're giving them support. We're helping guide. We're pulling people out of the darkness. And that's raising the vibration of the planet. This is not for union with a person. It's so much bigger than that.
Yeah, I was actually telling a friend the other day, I was watching, because I want to transition this eventually to motivation speaking for women. And I was getting like goosebumps just watching these videos. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I get this high. And it's not even anything ego. It's not anything I'm getting out of it, but it's like people can relate. They can, see what I've done and try to work it out in their situation. So like, it's not an ego thing at all. And it just feels so good.
No, what you're doing is you're transmuting that energy into something positive and helps and into the light.
Like I was telling you, I had, a pastor when I was young telling me that I was going to like help people with situations and speak in front of stages. And I always thought there's no way. And now I'm like, wow, like this all started because of this person who left, it's crazy.
Right. And you're doing it. This is your stage. This podcast is your stage.
Right. No, I know. It's insane though. Like looking back now, like you're right. After, I mean, you can probably say the same thing with me when you started YouTube. You're a different person.
I am. I honestly, when I look back, even at my pictures, I don't even look the same. I look back at my life and I would choose this life that I'm living right now over anything. And I'll tell you, I had a really successful career. I mean, I was like constantly on a plane, like at best restaurants, at these hotels, all these things, right? Living this awesome life. And I thought that was awesome until this happened.
And then you started doing this, and did you feel it in you? Like, this is what I have to do?
That was feeding my ego. If we're being authentic, it's feeding my ego where you're making a lot of money. You're successful. You got flashy things, nice cars, all of these things. I still like all of that stuff, but does it fuel me? Absolutely not. What fuels me now is me helping people on this journey. When I go to bed at night, it's a different kind of peace,
Right. Right. You don't feel, no. And like you were saying, when we go through our dark phase, which I literally had platinum blonde hair for the longest time. I couldn't afford you in my hair. I couldn't afford anything. I lost my job. So I was depressed. I went to the bathtub and just dyed my hair red. And for a good 8 months, and that was like my most depressive state, and that's why I call that my depressive state. So when you were talking about our feminines going through the dark stages of the journey, I was like, yeah, that's my red hair.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I get it. I totally get it. Trust me. The thing is, I found out about what the heck a twin flame was at the makeup counter. Like literally, I was my masculine and I had just gone into separation. I didn't even know it was separation. I don't know what it was, right? Because I didn't know anything about it. And so I was in the car with my niece and we're just going to go to the mall. And then we walked around for a minute and totally got twisted because this mall is huge. Ended up at the Nick's, finally found the Nick's store on our way out, leaving the mall. Because we were just like, we're never going to find this store. It's like this freaking maze. We're leaving through a wrong door and we see the Nick's store. And she's like, oh my God, we got to go back. And so we went back. This lady, I noticed her from across the room and she was like super tall and they all were black, right? At the store. And so she's like 6'2" or something. I'm just looking at her. And so, and she's super pale. And I'm like, and she's wearing all black. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm sitting at the counter where they do makeup demonstrations and she's at the checkout area. she walks over to me and I'm like, holy shit, right? And I see that she's wearing all these crystal bracelets. And I was like, oh, that's a rose quartz, huh? And she's like, yeah. And I said, what's the other one? And she's like, oh, it's a tiger's eye. And I said, oh, that's pretty. And she's like, yeah, I need it. I need it because, I catch all the energies in here. And I'm like, what?
You're like, they do that?
Yeah, I was like, what? I didn't know. What the hell is it? What do you mean energy? Like what? And so like, she's like, no, I'm empathic. And so, there's a lot of different energies, like spirits that come through. And I got
that is really random for someone to come up to you from the mall to tell you about that.
Right? And so I said, whoa, so are you like psychic or something? And she's like, I'm an empath. And she's like, but I'm she's clairsentient. So she goes by feeling, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, and then she puts her hand out to me and she goes, I feel like you need to ask me something. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
And me, like we've talked for, 40 minutes or something. So I don't have a lot. No, but I was speechless. So
wow.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And you've talked to me for 40 minutes. So I'm not at a loss for words. And so now my niece looks over and she's like, what's going on over there? So she comes over. And she's like, and she told me after, she's like, I looked at your face and she's like, you looked like you were stunned.
You look like you were pale as her.
Exactly. And I'm not because I'm golden. So she gives me her hand, I touch it, and I literally can't even speak. I said, well, I just recently broke up with my soulmate. And as I said soulmate, it felt wrong. Right. And she goes, it's your twin flame. And I knew it inside when she used those words. I didn't even know what a twin flame was. And it's something happened, and even as I'm telling you now, I could feel my chest like contract, and I felt it. And she's like, oh, no, it's not over. She's like, it's not over. She's like,
you got a long way to go, is what she's about to say.
But it's so funny that happened.
Wow.
And we ended up getting back together. Like he contacted me again, and it wasn't over. And then I knew what I needed to do.
And then you got the guide of what the steps were. Yeah. No. Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's why my journey's been perhaps a little quicker, because my journey's been about teaching, and so I can't teach unless I learn it too. And I think that's why that's happened.
Right. No, and I agree with that. What is your opinion about the masculines knowing about the twin flame journey?
Yeah, I think they're definitely, if they're awakened, even if they're not. So even in the beginning when they're like, oh my God, all this stuff that they're saying, it's true, right? They're feeling it for sure.
Right.
Do they know about the concept twin flame? I do have divine masculine clients, I will tell you that. And the ones that know are the ones that have done the dirty, right? Like that 7 of Swords energy, and their feminine's like, hard boundary.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them know. I think very few know.
They know it's something different. Yeah.
They know it's something different. Like even my masculine doesn't know what the term is, but he knows it's something that he's never experienced before, So they know it.
Yes.
They know it, but they don't know the label. And I'm not going to tell you what the label is. Last thing I want you to do
I don't need you to Google it.
Well, because here's the thing. There's a lot of information on Google. Is it all accurate? I would say absolutely not. So I wouldn't want my masculine to go out and get bad information. You know what I mean? So
Right.
Should I tell my masculine he's my twin flame? And I was like, well, whatever you're guided to do, but if it was me, no,
Yeah,
what?
no, yeah,
what?
yeah.
It perpetuates the label.
I don't know if you have experienced this, because like I was telling you on the phone call the other day, but I will say it briefly for everybody to listen. I had a very weird dream where I was talking. It was like I couldn't tell you what was around me. I couldn't tell you where I was, but It was me talking to a masculine, and we were talking about what was going on in the 3D, in the earth world. And I was asking questions of why, of the behavior, why they were doing this or why they were doing that. And they were responding like they knew exactly, like it was like our higher self talking to each other. And I woke up and I was like, whoa, that was a weird dream. Have you experienced anything like that, or do you know of anything like that?
Yeah, for sure.
I was asking him, I'm like, why do you keep doing this? And he's like, I'm just not as healed as you are. I'm not where you are yet. Like, I need to still heal. That was the conversation. And I was like, oh, man, that was deep.
And that's the truth. When you don't see it in the 3D, they're not healed yet. And trust me, You don't want them when
Right.
they're healed yet. They have to heal themselves. I tell people all the time, and hopefully this isn't controversial, but I tell people all the time, you are not his savior. You are not his Jesus. You are not
Right.
here.
You are not God.
You are not here. You're not his God. He's God, and you want him to be the masculine. So I tell the feminines this: the feminine is not to chase. The masculine needs to be in his full power, and she needs to stand in her full power and be open to receiving. Okay, because she's already programmed to give her love, be that nurturer, be that empress. But he needs to take the action towards her to be that masculine, to now lead that connection as her partner, as a spiritual partner. That's what it is. That's what it is. And people are, when the feminine wants to do the work for both of them, that's when it's not going to work. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
You
can't
can
do that,
heal
no.
him. You can send him healing.
Because you're always going to question if it's real when it comes back.
That's right. You can send him light. You can send him love. I'm not saying you need to be in hate or anything. I don't preach any of that. But it is not your job to heal him. It's like that thing on the airplane. Put the mask on yourself before you put the mask on anybody else.
That's so good. We should name the title of this.
Right? I'm telling you.
Please put your breathing device on before helping others.
Or you could put, you're not his Jesus.
Yes, you are not a savior.
Oh,
We're gonna figure that out. But another question that I had, and then after that we can what your readings and what you offer on your website. But the question I was gonna ask you was, so for example, like when people are not in communication, they're not in contact, and they're starting to feel detached. Could it just be energetically?
So
like
I think what you're asking.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying it right.
No, so what you're saying is, I guess, but what you're basically asking is, how is the feminine going to know, energetically or in reality, that the masculine is healing? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking, how does the masculine really know that there's boundaries if maybe he doesn't pursue the feminine?
Oh, yes. Thank you. How does the masculine know that there's boundaries? Okay. Whether it's in the 5D or
does it have to be physical, verbally, or can it be energetically?
It should be both. Because remember, you want to blend the 5D into the 3D. Otherwise, it always stays in the 5, right?
Right.
So that energetic, remember when I was talking about earlier when she redirects her energy for her healing, that's when he feels it detach. So that's boundary 1, right?
Right.
The boundary energetically. She's no longer constantly focused on him, praying for him, paying for spells and all this shit. And it's that boundary, because trust me, they do try to come back when they feel that energetic connection detached. Then they come back to feed through the 3D to try to get him back. And that's where that healthy boundary. So both are important.
Okay, so for example, like I get a lot of nasty Page of Swords, I guess you can say, messages from him whenever he's upset or hears something. He just went off on me, and I usually would go right back at it, and I just looked at it and I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna give you the attention. And I felt like he felt that ignored message.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You just broke a karmic cycle when you did that. You broke a cycle, because what he's doing, he's projecting his insecurity and frankly what he may or may not be doing on you, right? So if he's doing stuff, going out with people, whatever, because that's what he's not feeling good in his own state.
Hurt people, yeah.
Right, hurt people. Exactly. Nope. Do the advice cards for anyone listening to this podcast today. Here are 3 messages of guidance for you and your journey, okay? So I'm using the Archangel Michael Oracle cards for this part of our session. So here's 3 cards of advice. Okay, here we go. 3 cards. And I only do fly outs because that's how I know it's a message, because
I like that, yeah.
Oh, here we go. 1 flew out. Pay attention to your dreams. Oh my God, you were just talking about this. So this message from Archangel Michael is, thank you for tucking me into bed and helping me enjoy a wonderfully restful night's sleep. Archangel Michael, I invite you into my dreams as my teacher, as my guide, as my healer. And please allow me to understand this journey on a spiritual level and give me guidance. So this is very, very important, because I bet you the people that may listen to this podcast are ones that are maybe attaching to the 5D. So maybe this is a message for them. Pay attention to your dreams, okay? But have Archangel Michael be your teacher in it. Not that you're there to hold on to the 5D best version masculine.
Right.
That's the next card. All right, here we go. You have created this situation and you have the power to change it. So here's the thing. Yes. Did you decide when you were in spirit form that you wanted to be on this journey? Yes. You created this situation. You created this connection for yourself. You manifested this connection for yourself. And now you have the personal power to change it. So the message is, thank you for letting me lean on your strength and reminding me of my personal power. So this for me feels like people that are in separation right now. You chose this journey and you've got the power to continue to move through it. Okay, so the last message. All right, go. Last card. The person you're asking about is trustworthy. So for those people listening, if there's been energies of people not being on the up and up, they're changing. The person you're asking about is trustworthy. You are trustworthy. Therefore, you're not going to pick someone who doesn't have that quality in them. So it says here, thank you for helping me have faith so I can open my heart wider in my relationships. This is a journey of love, of self-love. Trust yourself. And when you have created trust and you have healthy boundaries, you can create an opportunity to have your trusty masculine, your awakened and healed masculine come in. I love that.
Wow, that was beautiful. That was like so resonating for me, and I'm sure for anyone that's relating with this episode. That's amazing.
I hope so. It's been such an honor to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to let everybody know if you do dailies, weeklies, I mean, I know what you do.
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is Queen of Light 1111. And I do, remember, collectives. I channel one collective. And I'm saying this, and it says 222 on the clock. So I do a channel for one collective on Queen of Light 1111. What I do is I look very, very deeply into the masculine and feminine energies and into the connection. And I look at what's happening in their headspace. I look at what's happening in their hearts, and I'm looking at what's happening in their environment. So what's happening in their outer world. And then I look at their connective energies. I'm a 3D reader. So I am reading about this world's energies, not what's going on in the ethers and the 5D. If you book a reading with me, then you would go to queenoflight1111.com, and a list of my services are there. And I do a ton of different things. I do healing sessions. I do coaching. I do healing and coaching session combos. I do reading coaching session combos. I do Akashic Records also, which is about when people are like, what the hell did I choose when I signed up for this? Like, what is this all about? What is this contract all about? And so that's the Akashic Records reading. And then finally, as part of my mission, I do a lot of instruction and teaching. And so I do a lot of webinars, and I've done a lot in person, and I do a lot through the virtual audience for those that are global that can't get to me. And so look out for those either on my Instagram at Queen of Light 1111 or on my website, or I might mention it on my channel when I do a reading and when I do a new one. So
your Pacific time zone?
I am Pacific time zone. I am in California. I'm in San Francisco, California.
Okay, I've been there a couple times.
Oh, you're going to have to let me know when you're down.
I know. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I thank you so much. I appreciate you responding back to my email. Not only do you do all this, but you also, for the ones that are listening, you speak a lot of like empowerment and self-love, and you're all about motivating when you speak.
Kind of?
Well, but I'm saying more than the normal tarot reader.
Totally kidding. That's the thing.
Not a lot of readers do that.
Yeah, I think only people that want to be motivated will be motivated, right? No, I appreciate you saying that. I really do. It's my mission to uplift people. It's my mission to empower them. And really, honestly, it's my mission to help people find their voice. Truly.
Oh, that's amazing. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll put all her information in the bio of this episode.
This is awesome. I mean,
Thank
hey, if you want to do anything else, again, let me know.
Yes, I definitely do. Let's do something in 2020.
Yay. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Day.